On a minute, but it's true. Not this one. Hi, everyone. I don't know if anyone's here yet, but if you're here, hey. I had another little streaming snafu. Every single time I go to start streaming, something goes wrong. Like this time, I went to start streaming and there was no chat window. Like I couldn't view it. So I had to disconnect my Twitch account and reconnect it. And this computer never remembers my Twitch account, even though I always click remember my Twitch account. So then I have to go like two-factor authenticate myself, and it's just a mess. So hopefully one day I can buy a new computer and this won't happen every fucking time. Hi, Melina. Thanks for joining. Hi, Sam B. With your PB emoji that now works. Yes. Yeah, you guys are the best. Melly, are you in the gallery today? Are you working? Melly, you got 2 emojis. Double emojied up. Sam B, what are you up to today? How's your Sunday going? Are you glassing? Gaming Squad FF. Hi, thank you for following. Guys, I got my first retweet today, and maybe that's where, if we have new people in here, it might be because of that. I was super pumped about it. Somebody named XAEL on Twitter retweeted my tweet where I was like, I'm going to go live, and it made me really happy. The only reason I even got a Twitter account was because I made that one piece of Ace Ventura from the Ace Ventura Pet Detective movie. I made a piece depicting him like dancing in a tutu, and I really wanted Jim Carrey to see it, but the only form of social media Jim Carrey has is Twitter, and I didn't have a Twitter, so I downloaded one just so I could tweet that work of art at him, because I really wanted him to see it and maybe buy it. So every day for like a year, I tweeted it at him, and he never responded. And eventually I deleted a lot of my tweets because I thought someone from his team might see me and like think I was like a physical threat and come after me. So I deleted a bunch of those, but eventually it sold to someone who was not Jim Carrey, and then I kind of gave up on tweeting him. But I still have a Twitter that I like never use, but now I'm going to start using it to remind you guys when I'm going to be here and maybe to be funny sometimes. So it's just a big day. Melly says, not today. I just got out of church. Oh, it's Sunday, yeah. So happy I got out as soon as you said you were going live. I couldn't miss the weekend stream, my fave. Well, thank you for joining. That's a very convenient time. See, me and the Lord are very in sync like that. we line up our activities, you know? Hey, Gaming Squad FF. What are you up to today? Are you having good weekends? CMB has a full day of glassing ahead of me. Hope to finish my horse portrait today. Woohoo! I was going to ask you how that was going, because last time you showed me, I think you had it all grinded out, and you had to just foil and solder, so seems like you were going to be finishing up pretty soon. All right, I will get into this. I won't talk forever. There beside you, better take off my wedding ring. So today, if you've been following me on Instagram, you've been seeing that I've been working on this commission piece, and I've been grinding a little bit and foiling a little bit of it on stream here as well. And yesterday I managed to get the rest of it foiled, which means we can solder. So that's what I'm going to spend this stream doing. And this is probably going to be pretty rare, because normally I use lead, not copper foil. So I don't do this kind of soldering very much. So this is a special event. About a man like that. So my setup, I have it zoomed in so you can see me solder up close. But I have this little Hako smoke absorber over here, because the fumes from flux are very dangerous. You don't want to breathe them in. So I have that going over here. I have my Weller West D51 soldering iron going over here. I have my little tinning block. There's a word for what this is. I think it's like a block of like salt. I don't know. but I use that to wipe off my soldering iron in between such to keep the tip clean. Bring Punch and Pie cheered! And look, our giveaway count went up, right? It was 2 before and it went to 3, which means I got it to work. Thank you, Bring Punch and Pie, and hello, how are you doing? Melina asks, will you ever stream a day of jewelry? I don't know, because my jewelry has like some fusing techniques that I feel like maybe I made up myself. I mean, I'm probably not the only one doing, but there are some like trade secret type techniques I use. And it's not that I'm not willing to share them, but I do think I would want people to like pay for those. Because they're just like, I don't know where else you would learn. I feel like that's more valuable than everything else I do. So I think I might like set up a Patreon thing to do videos like that, just because I do want to put those behind some kind of paywall. Which brings up this point about my VODs here on Twitch. I thought that Twitch would allow you to make some of your past broadcasts subscriber only, so only subs could see them, and keep others available for everyone to always see. But apparently you can only make them all or nothing, which makes no sense to me, because like I wouldn't really expect someone to join my live stream and subscribe just based off of what they see me do here. Like personally, as a viewer, I would want to see like, I don't know, 3 or 4 someone's past broadcast before I subscribed. So I think that's a really silly move that Twitch is doing there by not letting you have some of them be publicly available. So now I'm very torn between whether I should make my past broadcasts subscriber only or not. Because I do think my knowledge is valuable and people, you know, I deserve to be paid for it. But at the same time, I don't think it's a very good growth strategy to not let people have a glimpse of my channel and be able to like see that value. So I'm upset about that. Bring Punch and Pie is great. Happy Sunday. Let's do this, says the bush. Melly says, yeah, that's a bit strange. Yeah, so I don't know. My past broadcasts I might actually keep public. I don't know. That seems just wild to me that Twitch wouldn't allow you to like keep your highlights public. Right now, by the way, if you are not a stained glass artist, I am covering the copper foil edges of my piece with my flux, because that's what's going to allow the solder, which is this, to adhere to the copper foil and like join the whole piece together. If you don't use flux, your solder is not going to stick to your copper foil. And so when I do this, I just do it in little chunks. Like I'll probably do this piece in 3 chunks. So I'll flux a little bit, solder a little bit, and then move on to the next section. Melly says, maybe you could like save clips and post little parts on Insta so some people can see what you offer if you decide to keep them invisible. That's smart. I wonder if there's a way with like IGTV also, if I could upload like a longer, like 30-minute clip of what I'm doing there, because that'd be really smart. I have to look into that. And so this piece, my soldering strategy is normally I will start off by putting blobs at the joints, like where a bunch of the lines intersect. I'll put a little blob. And then also around the edges, I'm going to wrap this in a lead came channel. So I don't want my solder to go all the way to the edge. I want it to go to like, maybe like there. So I just put a little, it's precious _ X. Thank you for following. I just put a little bit of solder like right where I want to stop so that I don't forget, because this is what I'm talking about, the lead came. I'm going to frame the piece in this. and the glass fits into this little channel. So it's going to fit around just a little bit up on the edge right there. And if I solder all the way to the edge, then this is not going to fit. And I've done that before where I've like forgotten that I'm going to frame it, and I brought the solder all the way down to the edge. And you can make it work that way, but it's really annoying and just not fun. So now I've learned to put a little dot there to remind myself, like, whoa, stop it. Please don't insist. So, gonna keep doing my little bubbles at the intersections. And the goal with soldering, or at least my goal, is to do a very smooth, even seam. So every line connecting each of these little intersections, I ideally want to do in one swoop, like one even flow, which is why I'm building up the little balls at the intersection, because that's going to make it a lot easier to do it in one swoop, and it'll make where they meet look a lot cleaner if there's already a bit of solder there. So I guess we'll do this one first. And I lay like enough solder down to give it a high bead, and then I go back and clean it up. Out of my mind, out of my mind. I was walking with the ghost. I was walking with the ghost. See how I kind of did that all in one go? Like I didn't lift my iron out of it at any point. That's the goal, because every time you lift your iron out, it's going to create like a little seam. And yeah, if you're using patina, it's not going to be super easy to see that seam. But I always try to have mine just all in one go, because it's going to it'll look perfect if you can get it that way. Also, I feel like my hands are shaking a little bit, and it's because I'm drinking this energy drink for the first time. I feel like it's making me a little psycho. So, you know, I'm not on crack or anything, just FYI. Melly asks, how fast does the solder harden? Really fast, like pretty much as soon as the iron leaves it, it'll harden. So like if I melt a little blob off, you can see it's liquid. But if we give it just a second, and then I take my tweezers and try to move it, you can see it's like a solid drop now. But I can confirm that if it lands on your skin, it stays in its super hot molten form long enough to burn through several layers of your skin and leave you a horrible scar, and probably significantly increase the amount of lead in your blood. Because when I first started doing this, I would solder outside because I didn't have a smoke absorber. And I'm in Florida, so it was like 90 degrees, so I would solder in my bikini. And I dropped so much solder, not so much solder on myself. It happened a few times, but one time it happened like really badly, like a lot of solder. And I have a scar on my thigh from it. And at that point I was like, okay, we're not doing this anymore. Bring Punch and Pie says, what temp is your iron on? 680, between 680 and 690 it seems to fluctuate. I've tried it at like all different temps. And that's what works best for me. I think artists, everyone has like their own preferred temperature. I think mine is pretty hot compared to others. But yeah, usually like 680, 690. So you'll notice I'm continuing to redo this seam, and that's because when you have a lot of little curves like this, the foil isn't like as smooth as it would be in a straight line. So there's like little notches Like right here, you can see there's like a little notch right there. Over here, a little notch. So when that happens, I try to like kind of stick on a bigger amount of solder like this, and that'll cover them. And then I'll have to go back and smooth them out. So soldering is definitely difficult when you have little notches like this, which is why like I wouldn't recommend creating a design like this if you're... Is there like other music playing? Or does anyone else hear that other music? Am I going crazy? What is in this energy drink? My goodness. Grand 90, hi. You're from Toby Stream, right? You were being funny with me the other day. I was enjoying your personality. And I still do because I agree that that is what someone on crack would say. Oh, you like that, Sam B? All-time low song? It's aight. It's aight. A little bit slower than my preferred tunes, but... Bring Punch and Pie says, wow, my glass always cracks when I go that high, but it's so hard to do it clean at 350. Is our temperature different? I don't know if my iron is Fahrenheit or Celsius. There's a little dot on it. Like the C dot is filled in, which makes me think it's Celsius. But I'm just saying maybe your temperature isn't actually different from mine. You just think it is because you're in a different temperature unit. Okay, let's try this one again. So now when I'm going over those spots that had the little divots, there's not quite as many of them. To make sure I stay in your field of view. Yep, good. So I was just trying to explain that, like, how I'm going back in with these little extra volumes of solder isn't really typical. And I only do it on this design because I have so many of those little points. So like I was saying, ideally I would do every line in one flow and not go back into it. But with these little divots, I sometimes have to. But I still try to minimize that as much as possible. I'm too good now. It happens. I'm too good now. Grand. Haha, yeah, from Toby's. I appreciate you worrying what's in the drink and if it's causing hallucinations as you sip some more. Well, if I just started like soldering my face, would you guys call the police? You don't know where I am, so you couldn't do that much. You'd be like, yeah, there's a girl somewhere in Florida. She's burning her face off on live stream. You might want to get out there. Okay, again, we're just going to put our solder bead down. Of your mind, no, you might find. And then we're going to go clean it up. Say you've never. Bring Punch and Pie. I've never cracked a piece of glass, like soldering. I'm very scared because I've seen that like it happens to a lot of other people, but it's never happened to me. And sometimes I wonder if it's because I'm in Florida and maybe like the fact that my studio is always, and peanut butter doesn't let me turn the air conditioner on, and the fact that my studio is always at like 90 degrees has something to do with that. Like maybe if the glass is that hot anyway, the soldering iron doesn't, I don't know. You know what I mean? Gran says, this is a fun piece though, very complicated little shapes. Yeah, this is definitely not like a beginner kind of design, I would say. I mean, you can start with whatever designs you want, but if you want to do it well, one like this would probably be pretty hard for a beginner. But don't look back in anger, hard to say. Again, I'm adding extra solder to like the little bump areas. Like that looks really good, but now I have to smooth it out. And that's where the bumps might not look as great anymore. I feel like this is probably the most fun part of the process to watch for you guys, but it's also the one I need to like concentrate on the most, so it's probably the one where I'm going to be ignoring chat the most. Not that there's a ton going on in my chat ever, but I don't like to ignore you guys. Grant says the ambient hellish temps might help. They are pretty hellish, especially when your husband doesn't let you turn on the air conditioner. Melly says, lurk. We'll lurk for now. Getting lunch with my mom. I'll be watching. Okay, Melly, have a good lunch. Did she just try to use a command to lurk? Can you do that? I don't know how Twitch works still. Let's go. How much caffeine is in that? 150 milligrams. Is that a lot? I don't drink coffee or tea or anything. Like I don't really do caffeine ever. But I wanted to be extreme for this piece. Grant, do you stream stuff? Are you a glass person? She knows it's too late as we're walking on by. Her soul slides away. Don't look back in anger, I heard her say. I can wait. And the solder will seep through to the other side. We have to solder both sides. But if you hang out in one spot too much, it will just like go totally through to the other side. You don't want that. I remember that happened to me a lot when I was first starting out. Now it hardly ever happens. Which is another technique, like a lot of people, because you have to solder both sides, and obviously you care more about the front than the back, and the solder melts through to the other side. What a lot of people do, and what I used to do, is just tack together the front, but then flip it over and solder the back first, because that way when the solder seeps through to the front, then you flip it over and you do the front, it's all clean. Because like this way, I'm gonna do the front perfect, make it all good, then flip it over and do the back. And when I'm doing the back, if the solder melts through and messes up the front, then I'll have to go clean up the front. But I'm okay with that because that like never happens to me anymore. But when I first started out, that definitely happened. Better than you. I missed the big paragraph. Grand says, blink 3 times if you need us to call the husband, please. Guys, he beats me. I'm I'm just kidding. No, he's a great husband. And he's also my moderator, but he's a shitty moderator because he's never here. Oh, hi, Glass by Groves. Also, I realized in my last stream, Groves, that you were like, oh, my name's Riley. Call me Riley. And then I never called you Riley, and I insisted on continuing to call you Glass by Groves. So, sorry, Riley. Welcome back to my stream. But also, that's good free advertisement if I keep saying your Insta handle, Glass by Groves, because, like, everyone should be following you there anyway. Oh, my God. I'm, like, shaking. Grant says, I'm 90% sure I'm about to see a Stone Cold Steve Austin get smashed after a few more sips. Yeah, we're going to see something crazy. I can feel it in my veins. Bring Punch and Pie says, yes, mine is Fahrenheit. That makes sense. I will say I was fine with no cracking in the summer. I started getting cracked glass in the winter. North Carolina doesn't get too cold, but cold enough apparently. And I work in the garage. It was also happening more when I was trying to use all silver solder, since that needs a higher temp. What is all silver solder? Is this not all silver? This is 60% tin and 40% lead and 0% silver, so I'm confused there. Grant says, no, I just push buttons on a laptop from home because of COVID, so I watch a ton. I'm not talented, so I watch people who are. Oh, Grant, I'm sure you're talented at something. You probably push those buttons better than anyone else. I feel like I get that sense. Maybe you just haven't tried enough things yet. Have you ever tried doing glasswork? Maybe you are like way better than both me and Toby, but you just don't know because you never tried. Beautiful mother-in. Ooh, look how clean that one was. That one is nice. And there are some little spots, I don't know that you guys can see it, where the copper foil is sticking out. And I could either, again, blob more solder on there and try to clean it up, or I could just take an X-Acto when I'm done and X-Acto it off. I don't quite know what I want to do with these yet. If I have you. Riley says, what? I've never heard of that. I think I ignored chat too long to know what you've never heard of. The solder going through to the backside or cracking? I'm glad Bring Punch and Pie confirmed that your glass was only cracking in the winter. Because that seems to make sense with what I was saying, that it's probably like a Florida temperature thing. Why I've never had that happen to me. Oh, Bring Punch and Pie, lead-free solder. Is that what lead-free solder is? Is it silver? Is that why it's so expensive? That would make sense. All right, I think I'm gonna tilt it and go like this now. It's always easier if I'm bringing the solder towards myself, I think. I don't know why exactly, but it be like that. I might want to clean this. Okay, we'll just keep going. We'll just keep going. Grant says, I pushed them so good. You're not wrong. Yeah, I had a feeling. Today's not a work day, is it? Today's Sunday. Ever since I went full-time, I don't know what day it is. I don't know what month it is. I've already made the mistake many times of driving to the post office on a Sunday to ship an order, and then they're closed, and I'm like, fuck. And on holidays now, too. Like, I don't know when holidays are. Like, on, I think, MLK Day, a lot of stuff was closed, and I was trying to do stuff, and I was like, why is everything closed? And then I was like, oh, yeah. Because holidays don't matter to me anymore, because every day's a holiday. Woo! To understand. Oh, Glass by Riley says, I was talking about The tacking and flipping. Oh, you never heard of that? You didn't do that? Maybe that was just me, but I thought that was like other people. I mean, you and I are both self-taught for the most part. I know you totally are. I am 95% self-taught, so could be something I just made up on my own. And again, I am just putting little blobs at all the joints first. And then I'll go do the lines. Look at his eyes. Look how dope his eyes are. I love fusing. I get so excited when it works out well. I wish you guys could feel it. His eyes are like perfectly bumpy. You want to be careful in areas like this where there's just the tiniest bit of glass between two solder channels, because if you have too heavy of a hand, the solder will like cross the gap and stick to itself and just take away like that little bit of glass detail. And it doesn't matter, but your design just won't look quite as good if that happens. So I always try to avoid that. Riley says, I just keep a close eye on the temperature and move a lot. That'll work too. How do you keep your iron clean while you work? Riley uses a wet sponge and a tip tinner. I used to do that, and then I followed Dichroic Glassman on YouTube. I don't know if he still makes videos, but his videos were like they helped me so much in the beginning. Like, he's a very smart man and a lot of really good techniques. And I saw that he was using one of these, which I think is called like an ammonium salic block, or I think you can just call it a tinning block too. But all you do is like wipe your tip on the edge of it and it cleans it off. And I think it does a lot less damage to the tip than like a wet sponge or the tinning, the like little steel wool tinning thing. Like, to me, this, I don't know, just always looks cleaner, and I see like less like corrosion on it. So that's my preferred method. Tell me what you saw. Electric gold glass. Hi, I don't know if I've seen you here before. Hello. I also used to tack and flip, but I found as you get better at fitting pieces together, it doesn't melt through as much. Oh, that's a good point. I never even thought of that. I thought my soldering skills were getting better, but you're totally right. It's probably because my pieces fit together a lot better now. You smart. Another reason I'm really happy that I can fuse now instead of using paint is because I was always so nervous, like around right here, when I used to paint on details instead of fuse glass. I'd be very nervous bringing my soldering iron in this area, because if you hold it on, you know, the paint would just like melt off if you would, that area would get too hot for too long. And now I don't have to worry about that. That was a pretty clean one. This one bump is a little bit of copper foil sticking out. I'll tell you what oh. So I like add the volume back and then I go back and smooth it out. Like I was saying earlier, I always try to make all my seams with one smooth flow. That one was two. Like I had to redo that area, so that was this part and this part. But like the less times you have to go back in and fuck with the channel that you already made, the smoother your lines are going to look. So I always try to do it in one flow if I can. Like this guy will get in one flow for sure. Electric Gold Glass says, no, I already read that. Grant says I use a salt lick, which, like, I think this is salt. I kind of want to lick it, but I also don't want to die. Probably have enough poisoning at this point. Me on. Never do what you should. Hot, thought, and I probably could. See how we got that bad boy in one go? That's what you want ideally every time. And soldering is also why it's very important to make sure that your copper foil seams are like the same width and even, because whatever your seams are like, your solder is just going to emphasize that. So if you have really even, smooth copper foil, you're going to have really smooth, even solder lines. And if your copper foil lines are all uneven and whack, then your solder is going to be whack too. Peanut Butter just introduced me to the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I'd like never seen that show. And now I feel like I'm using words that Will Smith uses because I like his character. And he says whack a lot. So fucking good. So fucking good. That one we almost got in one smooth flow. I had to stop here, but I think that looks pretty good. Grant says, what a fucking line. Damn. Grant, how do you feel about stained glass? Have you seen anyone do stained glass before? Or only that blowing shit that Toby does? I mean, this is a little harder. You know, I don't want to brag, but like anyone can blow glass. It's very easy. You could probably learn in a couple days. This takes like real skill. This is real art. You know, you're not going to see me make a piece in an hour. Like you'll see Toby make 10 pieces in 1 hour. You're not going to see that shit here. Because this is hard and it takes time. I'm totally kidding. Everyone should go follow Glassman Cometh on Twitch. He does glass blowing work, and honestly, it's probably a lot more entertaining to watch than stained glass because he can finish a piece in 10 minutes. PB in the house. Thank you, Peanut Butter. It's about time. Grand says, you could probably outpace Toby in 15 or 20. I don't know if you can compete with the dancing, though. Dude, I've asked Toby in that stream before if he'll give me twerking lessons, and he said no. I wish I could twerk. Back in high school, I would watch videos of like the twerk team on YouTube. I don't know if anyone's ever, you guys are familiar with the great work that the twerk team does, but there are a couple of ghetto ladies that can really move their bodies. And I I would like study them and try to do it. And I don't have, I'm missing something. And no, don't ask to see, because that's, I'm fine with embarrassing myself on live stream, but that's like, I don't think I could recover from that. Never look back. Ooh. Yeah, look at that bad boy. Yeah. Soldering is like such a good way to be able to tell if a glass artist knows what they're doing or not. And like obviously we'll have to start somewhere, but there are like some big glass artists that I'll look and be like, your soldering lines are shit. Like, what are you doing? Like, they'll be like flat or like really uneven and bumpy, and these people have like many, 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 many thousands of followers, and I'm just like, do you guys, am I the only one that sees this? Wild. And I thought of you. Thought of you. Are there designs? Or designs will just have like obvious errors. Like they'll put attachment points at points that like are not structurally safe. Or their designs will have like a line. Rose Bolizzi. Thank you for following. Like if you should never have like a line all the way through your design. That's what we call a hinge point, and it makes it weak. Just another thing that I see with like kind of like established people that I'm like surprised by. Peanut butter, you bought Friends? Was Belizzi your friend? John, oh thank you. This is the friend. Can I be jelly if he's peanut butter? Well, I'm jelly. PFK Tay. Hi, thank you for joining. Or is it PFK Tay? Are you supposed to say all the letters? Thank you. John, I'm jelly because it's PB and J, and I'm Jackie. So, fine. When you're in here, you can be jelly, but when you're not in here, I'm the J. Grand says, that man claims he doesn't practice and only learned it by doing it on the stream. I 100% don't believe him. Yeah, me neither. You know he's been doing it in the mirror every night. Making it work. Damn, I fucked that up. See how we did that whole eye in one motion? That was bangering. PFK Tay says, where's Trip? LOL. Oh, you're one of Peanut Butter's friends? I don't know, Peanut Butter comes in here and then he's all quiet and shit. How do you expect me to grow my viewer following Peanut Butter if you're not entertaining the people? Oh, you know Tay, but I'm John. I don't think I know. Who's Tay? Tay, do you know me? Do I know you? Rose Belizzi. Hi here. Jewelry method, Tiffany. Do you make jewelry or you do glass with the Tiffany method? I need my little reminder solder at the edges so I don't go all the way to the edge. Because your girl be doing that. Tay says, we know each other, LOL, from that one time. Oh, that one time. Is this like Drexel days? Did I see you at one of those basement parties at John and Tripp's place? Rose Bulitzi, you make jewelry with Tiffany method. Oh, you are also a crafter then. I don't know if I know what the Tiffany method of jewelry making is. I assume, does that have something to do with like Tiffany's? Like, you know, the store Tiffany's that sells the super expensive jewelry? Or is that, I don't know. What makes it the Tiffany method? Can you elaborate? Michaela Liz, thank you for following. Or you could be Michael A. Liz. I think it was Michaela, though. Sorry if I offended your gender. A Jacob in my hand and towards the door. Dude, you should not have caffeine right before you solder. My hands are like shaking. And it's actually making this kind of hard. Tay says that's exactly the place. Does Tavon ring more bells? Oh, yeah, I know Tavon. Sorry, hi, Tavon. I didn't know you went by Tay. Yes, I definitely do remember you. Thank you for joining. Man, some good times in that basement, am I right? I think I was only down there like one time for like one party when Peanut Butter and I first started dating. Peanut Butter, do you remember? I won't say it. Do you remember what happened on the stairs? Oh, I won't say it out loud because he gets embarrassed, but Peanut Butter made a fool of himself on like our third time seeing each other. And I still like to remind him about it. It's this one thing. Did this one thing. Rose Belizzi says, is soldering soft? A guy named Tiffany invented the copper foil method. Oh, I did not know that. Thank you for explaining. I hope his last name was Tiffany, not his first name. Michaela says, hey, I know you're not making a new design now, but could you stream that process of how you draw your ideas out to scale? I did. Did you see, if you look at my last stream where I was foiling Homer? What number am I on? I think it might have been 5.1. Look at the beginning of that video because I did like demo how I would draw a design and then put it into Illustrator. But if you look at that and you still have questions, let me know. But I think I explained it fairly well there. Grant says, the Michael J. Grant, you're a funny person. Oh my god. Do you guys get that? I said I was shaking and Grant called me the Michael J. Fox of glass art. Dude, if I wasn't already so established as a brand, Glasswork Pixie, I would totally change all my handles to that. Tay says, hey, hey, LOL. And yeah, that basement was lit. Yeah, I had some good jungle juice in that basement. You guys think there's still ragers going on there now? Your landlord guy was so weird. Would not be surprised if that guy was in jail. Love me well, love me. Michaela says, sweet thanks. No problem, lady. But if there is ever anything that you want to see, like she just asked about a demo on my design process, definitely feel free to interrupt and ask, because if I haven't done a demo on something before, I will gladly stop what I'm doing and do it for you guys. Unless I'm right in the middle of soldering, then I might not stop, but I will do it when I'm done. Just don't ask me for a twerking demo. That's the one thing I won't do. There are some of the corners up here that I'm not loving. Like this one you can see looks a little rough. So I'm gonna wait for it to cool and then put a little dot of solder there. I don't love doing that because, like I've been saying, I don't want to create a bump in the middle of what could be a smooth solder line. But if I have the choice between a rough ass curve or a little seam in the middle of the solder line, I'm gonna go with the seam. As long as I don't do it in too many places, it's gonna be okay. Especially in this area, when I do the wire detailing, like I'm gonna have, like you can see these lines back here, I'm gonna make those out of wire, and they're gonna be all around up here. So if there's a couple interruptions in my smooth solder seam up here, there's going to be wire over it anyway, so it's not a big deal. John says, the lacrosse team moved in after us. I went there once, and there were holes in the walls. Weren't there holes in the walls when you guys were there? Grand, I have no idea what emoji that is, but cool. Grand, my emojis in this stream are my husband's face covered in peanut butter, like the one that John just used, because he's my moderator and I call him Peanut Butter. Come out and play. All right. We're gonna flip this bad boy over and do the back after I inspect the front and make sure there's nothing else I want to clean up. I think we're looking pretty good. Like I was saying, there's some spots where the copper foil sticks out past the solder just like a tiny, tiny bit. And I think I can clean all that up with an X-Acto knife. So I'm not gonna redo anything. Take a minute. Damn, I got my fit so tight that it's stuck in the frame. Gotta keep them separated. Under 18, you won't be doing it anytime. I try to get most of these little solder guys off before I start soldering the back, because just in case the solder does melt through to the front, if there's a little solder guy in the way, then there's a chance that it could... Who did that? John. Yas! There's a chance that the solder ball could like melt to the solder that's already been done and ruin my perfect seam. So we just gotta clean it up. Separated. Gotta keep them separated. See, so you can see what I was mentioning. This is what I meant when I said the solder would come through to the other side. You can see there's like little gaps of melted, not gaps, little blobs of melted solder. So if you have big gaps in your piece or you're not that skilled with soldering, when I do this, that could happen on the front and ruin the work that I just did. And that doesn't usually happen to me anymore, but that is the thing that like does happen. And this is also a little more risky now because since I have fused glass on this side, like his eyeballs stick out a little bit more, it means that the glass isn't totally flat. So if I were to hold my soldering iron on a seam for too long, it could like melt and part of the glass could fall down, if that makes sense. So just another thing, like if I was a beginner, just another reason I probably would not be starting off with this design. Grant says it's disturbing, honestly. Kind of the emotion I was going for. Riley says, you're so brave to stream yourself. I always worry that other artists are going to judge the shit out of what I do in my process. I used to feel very strongly about that. Or like, you know, be nervous about sharing my process because I thought that. But I'm like really confident with what I do now. Like I kind of think my work is the shit. I mean, not to sound like an asshat who's like full of herself, but I think I do very good work. And I've also sold enough of my pieces and had enough of my pieces in my own home for so many years that like I know it's good quality. Like it's not falling apart. It looks, a lot of the shit I made 5 years ago still looks just as good as it did the day I made it. I've never had a customer complain about a piece, and I've sold many hundreds. So like I know I'm making quality shit. So if you're gonna come out here and judge me, judge away. But like I'm open to conversation. Like if another artist came in here and said you're doing something wrong, I would totally love the feedback. I just am confident that I'm not. That is one thing that like I like weirdly wish is on social media more. Like I do wish people would give more constructive criticism more often. Because like everyone says the nicest things all the time, which is amazing. But like I just think back to like my art courses in college. That's where we would learn the most. Like when you all hung your pieces up on the wall and everyone went around the room and had to like give constructive feedback on it. And like you couldn't just be like, this is a good piece. You'd have to say something that was wrong with it or like something that could be improved. And I really appreciated that because that's how you learn to get better. And nobody really does that. And I get why, because everyone's so fucking sensitive these days. Like, God forbid you tell somebody that they could improve in some way. You know, they could freak out on you. I'm just not someone who I would appreciate that. But obviously there's a big difference between like constructive criticism and just saying like, oh, your work is trash. Like I wouldn't want someone to say that. But Riley, you could like totally just stream you doing what you do. Like you don't need to have a camera in your face like I do. You don't have to talk probably. And I think that makes for a more engaging stream. But if you wanted to like kind of do it like anonymously by just like showing what you're working on, if that would like help you feel more confident about it, you could probably do that. But also just like fuck what other people say, you know? Doesn't matter. You do good work, and if you like your work, that's all that matters. It's the hardest thing. Electric Gold says, yes, I agree. I wish more people would critique. I love constructive criticism. Good, I'm glad you agree. I don't know, it really is like how do you get any better if you don't know what you're doing wrong or what people don't find enjoyable about your work? And it's also like dangerous, right? Because like, I feel like without that criticism, you might get too big of a head about your work. Like if people are just telling you all day, every day, how much they like your work, I assume that would affect your like personality at some level. Damn, hopefully I'm not like that. Like I see pieces all the time, like I was mentioning earlier, like work that I see it on social media and I want to say, hey, this is a great piece, but you have a hinge point in it, or your jump ring has to be connected to a solder seam, or it's going to pull away from your piece over time and your whole product is going to fall apart. Like I want to say stuff like that, but I'm scared too that like other people aren't receptive to that, and I don't want to piss people off or make them feel like their work is bad. But I do see stuff that I feel like I could provide constructive criticism on, and I don't do it. Sam B says, maybe this glass fam you've created can be like that. Hell yeah, if you guys do see, if you ever have constructive criticism, again, don't tell me my work is trash. I mean, you can, but I would rather you didn't. But if there's feedback or something you think I can improve, always feel free to tell me. Supporting each other not only to create, but improve. Yes. That would be my goal. Bring Punch and Pat says, I'd watch you if you went live, Riley, Glass by Groves. Your work is amazingly detailed. See, Riley? The people want to see you. I've said it before, I also just think like the more talented glass workers we can get on Twitch, the better it's going to be for all of us, because it's just going to bring in more people and more attention and potential customers for all of us, more interest in our work, because it's pretty uncommon, you know, to see there's definitely more glass blowers on Twitch, but there are not a lot of stained glass workers on Twitch. To give away. But I get it, it's not for everyone. It also is like a lot of work. Like, I think if someone was extroverted, it would be a very easy and fun thing to do. But for someone like me personally, who is an extreme introvert, ideally I would never see another person other than peanut butter. I love being alone and by myself. Someone like that, it is like stressful. Hopefully I'm doing a better job of not showing that, but I totally get why someone would feel uncomfortable with streaming. This is the back, so I'm still trying to make my solder lines as clean and smooth as possible and do them all with one flow, like I was mentioning, but I'm not caring quite as much about it. Electric Gold Glass, do you stream? Are you one of us brave people? Riley says, would you ever be interested in a co-stream? Like both of us soldering at the same time on camera? Oh yeah, totally understand if you're like, heck no. I mean, with you, like someone else, definitely. With you, I'm just kidding, yeah. That was actually one of my goals when I thought about streaming. Part of the reason I want to get other glass artists on here is because I do want to be able to do fun collabs like that. So, yeah. I have no idea how we would go about like connecting our streams like that. So, unless you already know, you're better with technology. But I will definitely be down to figure that out. And that's like mutually beneficial because then, you know, you'll bring people that already follow you and I'll bring people that already follow me. And then we would hopefully both grow because new people would see us and enjoy our work. That'd be so fun. Electric Gold says, I do not stream, but I've been thinking about it. I'm still small, so I don't know that many people would be interested. Well, you could look at that as a benefit, right? Like, if you're streaming and there's nobody watching, that gives you some time to, like, get good and get comfortable. Like, the first time I streamed, I didn't think anyone was going to watch, and there were, like, 10 or 20 people at once watching me, and that, like, freaked me out and definitely made me more nervous. And I kind of wish there hadn't been so many people. So you can look at that as, like, a positive, maybe. And, it's not like you won't get people quickly. Like, especially I've noticed if you are an active participator in other people's streams that are similar to yours. Like, I keep mentioning this guy, Toby, Glassman Cometh. I'm in his stream occasionally. And, you know, I don't, like, mention my stream in there, but I'm participating and having fun with the people in that chat and him as a creator. And, like, look at, like, Grand is in here now because he and I met, or she and I, Grand, I don't know your gender, but we met in that stream. And there's been a few people like that. So, like, even if you don't start out having anyone there with you, it's not like they won't come. And especially if you use your other social media channels to advertise and pump up your stream, like Instagram or Twitter or YouTube or whatever. Goddess Blossom. Ooh, you sound fancy. Thank you for following. Goddess Blossom. Laughter and voices. Lights from the airfield shining upon you. I love Tattoo, the band. These two ladies are so cool. Are they even still together? I don't know. Like, this song is hella old, right? Oops, I didn't do my soldering at the intersections like I have been doing this whole time. That energy drink really made me have to pee. I've had to pee so bad for like 10 minutes. But I don't like leaving in the middle of soldering. I'll just pee on myself. I'm kidding. Goddess Blossom. Hey, just stopping in for the first time. This looks so cool. Thank you. Are you familiar with stained glass at all? If you're not, this is called the soldering stage, which means I'm basically melting this metal, which is a combination of tin and lead, down and attaching it to the copper foil seams between all my glass pieces. And that's what holds all the glass together, is this liquid metal that hardens and becomes a little liquid or a little solid metal channel between all the glass pieces. And when I'm done with this part, I'll wrap the whole thing in a frame of metal and it'll be pretty solid. Soldering is by far the coolest part of the process. I think I said that earlier. And these fucking glass blowers are so lucky they could have fire going the whole time. Like, how are you not going to stop and watch a stream that has fire in it? Like, I assume most people would probably stop and watch something like this too, but fire is just like way more badass. Grant says, step 1, be an okay human being. That is a pretty big step. Am I okay? I think I'm okay. Or at least be an entertaining human being. You probably don't have to be okay if you're entertaining. Just have a fucking big ass energy drink before you stream, like I just did. It'll give you some type of personality. And turn you into Michael J. Fox. Well, I'm gonna be laughing about that for a while, Grand. That was very funny. Grand says, come for the glass memes, stay for the urinary incontinence. I have to pee so bad. Don't mention it anymore. Goddess Blossom says, familiar as in worked with or even seen up close. No, you've never even seen stained glass like up close? Have you ever been in a grandmother's house? I feel like you see it in like every old person's house. Which is another reason like I feel like why I'm inspired to make all my own designs. Because I feel like stained glass has this reputation of being very like traditional and like old and something you only see in churches and your grandmother's house. But like it's not. Like look what I'm making. I'm making a meme of Homer Simpson. So I try to make all my designs like, you know, fun and fresh and young. I mean, I always make stuff that I want to put in my own house. But I also hope it's something that like attracts younger people and makes them think about the art in a different way. Sometimes when you're soldering, like just happened there, there'll be like a little bubble, like a literal hole that will form in the solder. I don't actually know why that happens. Like right here, you see what just happened there? A little bubble formed, and so now there's a hole in my solder. And sometimes, like with this one, you have to like continuously drop solder over it and wait for it to dry before it'll stop bubbling. And I wish I knew why that happened. Is it because there was like a big gap there between my glass? See how it like keeps bubbling? These are always like a real bitch. And then if you hang out in this spot too long, you risk your glass cracking or it's seeping through to the other side. So it's like a dangerous game. You can play with the bubbles. We got that one under control. We showed his ass. What's that? Grant says, well, shit. No one is saying you can't have fire happening. Peanut butter, do you hear that? Maybe at random points in the stream, you could just come in and set a fire, and I'll have to like quickly put it out. And that could be like a fun little bonus entertainment. Goddess Blossom says, I've seen stained glass windows, sure, but they're always up higher in a store where I'm afraid to break everything. Yeah. Yeah, there definitely aren't a ton of stores that have like a lot up close. Like I've only seen them in like specific stained glass stores I go to buy glass. I don't think I've ever walked into like, maybe I've been in a couple like home goods stores. But I can't even really think of ever seeing stained glass in a store that wasn't specifically for stained glass, now that I think about it. I've heard that places like Urban Outfitters and maybe like Crate and Barrel are trying to get in on the glass game. I've heard people saying that they have like stained glass items in stock now. But I don't know, I haven't seen that myself. I know Glow Glass, she's a big glass person on Instagram, has had her products in, I think, West Elm for a long time. I think. Grant says, save up enough channel points to set up the flamethrower. That'd probably be a good way to get a lot of viewers in my stream very quickly. And to also make my stream very short-lived. Because I do not have faith in my own abilities to be able to put out a fire. I could definitely start one, but I don't think I could stop one. Guys, I really have to pee. I'm actually gonna pee my pants if I don't go. I'll be right back. Gren says, Rat-a-tat has such an identifiable sound. No mistaking them when they come on. Are you a Rat-a-tat fan too? Sounds like it. I love them. Are they still together? Like, I don't know. I don't really keep up with new music, unfortunately, because the way I used to was by, like, you know, socializing. Did I put my headphones on backwards? Is my mic always on this side? Something feels off. But, you know, I used to get new music by, like, socializing or, like, hearing stuff at, like, bars or in the car. And ever since, like, COVID, and I've been working from home, even before COVID, for many years, and doing glass with all my spare time and, like, no longer socializing, I don't really get to hear new music anymore. So a lot of my stuff is pretty old. Like, Rat-a-tat I first discovered when they came and played. We used to have, like, a big Spring Fling concert during March or April every year, and they came and opened for someone, and they were so good. I remember the sound just being so cool. So then they're one of the few bands where I downloaded like every song I could find. Sorry, I legally downloaded every song I could find from them. Like, normally I'll just download like 1 or 2 songs per artist, because there's no artist I like really want to hear all their shit. But Rat-a-tat is one. In Toby's stream the other day, you people were talking about Oliver Tree, and I had never heard of that band or person or whatever it is. But then he played that one song that was like, I fell down to earth. And I really liked it, so I bought that one. But I didn't like look up any of their other stuff. But that one song I really liked. I think it was Janelle Monáe that Rat-a-tat opened for at that concert I was talking about. And Janelle Monáe is another artist that is really cool. Because her whole style is really cool. God. Okay. Oh, baby. Oliver Tree. Yeah, you're big into them. That one song was dope. Shift the ground, it feels like under the horizon in time. Slowly drifting. Slowly drifting. Away. Against the street. Pulling against them. Slowly drifting. What time did I get on here? 11:30? And it's already 1. That's the other thing, Grand, I'm always so impressed by with Toby. Like, he can just, like, do his normal shit. And he, like, won't even be looking at what he's doing. Like, he's interacting with the chat and, like, looking at the camera. And yet he's making whatever he's making really, really well. And that's something I struggle. I feel like I work so much slower on stream. And I don't feel like I can do my best work on stream. Because I'm still, like, nervous, and having the camera right in my face is also, like, a hindrance. I'm telling myself that will get better with time. But it's annoying because when I make new designs, like a new piece that I've never made before, I always time myself making it so I know how many hours go into my pieces, and that way I can price them appropriately. But if I'm making a new design on stream, like I did with some of my first streams, I can't time myself because it's going to take way longer. So, like, that time is not realistic. And it wouldn't be a fair way to price my work. So, that's annoying. Love me. Hurt, Cash Machine, When I'm Down. Are those other Oliver Tree songs? Or is this poetry that you're writing off the dome in my stream? Like a little slam poetry session? Everything he sings is good. Oh, so it is a guy. I wasn't really sure if it was like a band, like a group, or just a guy. I think we done. Let me just do a little inspection. That seam is bothering me. See how there's like a little ridge in there? That's not dope. That ain't dope. Let's just see if we can smooth it out. Oh, that's way more dope. Good job. Good job, May. He feels the same way too, though. Toby does. He talks a lot about being so much slower on stream versus off. He does a lot of his orders off stream before and after. That actually makes me sad because I assumed that if you just streamed enough, that would go away and you would become your normal speed on stream, which is kind of what I assumed, the point I assumed he was at. So if he's not there, I sure as hell ain't gonna get there. But you know what I'm gonna be so much better than Toby. Jeez, why am I talking like that? Of course I'll get there. I'll get there next week. Must stand down. Grand, are you gonna report back to Toby and tell him I've been talking shit about him? And he'll probably block me. Grand says, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it was time for my 7 minutes before the hour abstract slam poetry sesh. Dude, I thought I was the only one that did the 7 minute before the hour slam poetry session. You and I have a lot in common. Feel free to bring those out whenever you want. I can start scatting if that would, like, help inspire you. Skiddly beep bop ba doop boop scoop boop. Okay. I think I'm gonna stand. I hear your voice. And now what we're gonna do is wrap this bad boy in lead. Oh God, I think I'm falling. So this is, oh, I should raise you up too. The other thing, Grand, it's no flamethrower, but I did make the mounts that hold my cameras myself, and they're done very badly, and they do fall sometimes. So like this whole camera setup has fallen before, usually when I'm raising and lowering the camera. So like that could happen at any point, which again is not as cool as a flamethrower, but it is just like a fun thing we could all look forward to. Okay, so I have this lead cane channel, and lead cane comes in like these long strips, and it's just a piece of lead that has a little channel cut into it so the glass can fit into it, and you can buy it in like different thicknesses and sizes and whatnot. I don't know what size this one is, but generally I try to use like a thick one if I'm doing the outer frame of a piece because it looks nice and it's going to be structurally good. So this was a straight line. I just kind of pre-curved it into something like a circle before I started stream. And now I'm just going to wrap this guy in it. And this is like not an easy thing to do. Like I have a lot of trouble with this part of the process. So I'm going to make it look maybe like I don't know what I'm doing. And that's just because I do know, but it's just like hard. And I don't have like a great technique for it yet. Like ideally, if I had a bigger studio, I would have little spots set up for like specific activities, like one spot for grinding, one for cutting, one for wrapping lead. And one thing that would be really helpful with wrapping lead is if you have like a horizontal wood strip or bar that's perfectly straight attached to your workbench, then you can pull your piece in and hold it against that strip and then turn it so that the lead fits tight there and it wraps tightly. So like I do know how I would do it well. I just don't have the studio set up to do it well. And you have to be really careful when working with lead channel because if you curve it too much, you'll get a kink in it, and kinks are like so hard to get out. And also this piece is just like really fragile at this point, the glass, because it's not framed. So I also have to be careful not to like put too much pressure on it in any one spot. Grant says, thank God you don't sell custom camera mounts then. Not yet. You just wait. Put that record on. That's my song. That's my shit. EXO. All these hoes on my dick. So what I'm doing is fitting it into the channel and then like kind of rolling it in the channel and applying pressure so that it like settles deeply into the channel. Fuck, did I not cut this to be long enough? Normally the lead that I cut like a couple inches of extra just to give myself some wiggle room. And I think I cut this one like exactly the length it needed to be, which is like, see, look at that. Did I cut it too short? If I did, I'm gonna have to end my stream right now. Fuck, I'm gonna be so pissed if that's what I did. Look how close that is. And a saucy whip. Don't cost me shit. Oh, no, she didn't. Can't do it like me. We'll have a larger home one day. You'll have a nice big studio. Let's hope, peanut butter. G6. So fly like a G6. That's my song. No, I think this lead is going to be Gucci. But, I didn't make it easy on myself. Grant says all I can say is Toby never would have done that. You just wait until I actually know what I'm doing. I'm gonna make Toby look like a dang fool. Like a G6. Feeling so fly like a G6. Goddess Blossom has not heard this song in so long. That's what I was saying. A lot of my music is from a long time ago. Sorry guys, I know this probably isn't like the coolest thing to watch. And if I had cut myself more slack with this lead, this wouldn't be such a fucking problem. I don't know why I did this. So like my problem is, even though it seems like it's long enough, the ends are very difficult to get to bend down to make a perfect circle. And if I had an extra inch or so, then I could like curve it past and then chop off that little bit that's like not a perfect circle and do the same on both ends. But I didn't give myself the slack. Fuck, I really don't want to cut more lead, but fuck me. Oxford, hey, what's up, buddy? 5 milli short, can you fudge it? It's not even that it's too short. It actually is like the perfect amount. But you can see the ends just like aren't... I can't describe why it's difficult to fold the ends to a perfect circle, but it is. Hold on, let me see if I have another piece of lead that's like stretched and long enough. Run and hide. I think what I did is I calculated the circumference and I just cut it to be the circumference. Which is the right length minus that extra bit. It's because I was getting ready for stream and I'm fucking nervous. I'll solder the gap and put the hanger in there. I mean, you could definitely have made that work, especially if you weren't like an anally retentive perfectionist like I am. I don't know that everyone would have been able to notice the error, but it would bother me. I mean, it's fine. I'll just be able to reuse this on a smaller circle. Like if this is an 8-inch circle, if I make a piece that's 6 inches or 4 or something, I'll very easily be able to reuse that. So it's like not a big waste or anything. Riley says, is it really stained glass if you don't have at least one oh shit moment per piece? Nah, it's not. You know that. All right. So I'm an 8-inch circle. 2 pi r, right, is circumference. So 8 times pi is 25.13. So if I cut this to be like 27 inches, maybe I'll do 28 just to be safe. I want some more. Uh-oh. Waiting for... Okay, this one is way longer, so I'll try it again. Sorry I messed up, guys, and I'm ruining this very entertaining live stream. I'm going to shut off my soldering iron for now because I get worried when I have hot things. Because I forget they're hot and I touch them. Oxford says, gap about gone. Can you bend it on a scrap piece of glass? I don't have a scrap piece that's circular. I guess I could have bent it around my wooden frame. But I've already cut this new one, so. The teeth and the curse of this town are all in my mouth. Only I don't know how. Got out in. I'm going to try and steel wool and straighten this piece. Sam B says, you're not ruining anything. We'll just get to see more of the process. Thank you for that confidence, Sam B. Insanely Jess. Thank you for following, Insanely Jess. Could always use a few more insane people in here, you know? Right now it's mostly Grand and me seem like to be the most insane ones. So I've steel wooled it, and I'm trying to give it a bit of a stretch with my hands. Insanely Jess says, love your stuff. So excited to find out you have a Twitch. Ooh, yay! I am always very happy when people come in here who have already been following my work on Instagram or whatever, because one, I appreciate that very much, and two, I think you guys get to see a lot more of the process that obviously I just will never be able to show you on something like Instagram. So thank you, Jess, for following there and here. And Jess, what I'm doing right now is trying to stretch and work out a piece of lead cane to solder around that Homer Simpson piece that I just finished soldering. And I had a piece of lead cane that was already like good to go, and I didn't measure it properly, so I had to cut a new one. So now I'm going to take my wooden frame and bend it around that to kind of get a circle shape going. Because like I keep saying, you have to be really delicate when working with lead and glass, because before a piece is framed, it's very fragile. So I'm going to bend it with this wooden frame instead of the glass, because I can freely apply more pressure here without worry of it breaking the glass. Y'all feel me? That actually worked really good on the ends. So I'm gonna bring my other one back in here and just, maybe I can get the ends really. Away. I've never used my wooden frame to do this. This is kind of brilliant, Uxard. Thank you. When we're dancing, mountains in the Hamptons. It's Jess says, is the frame one of the most frustrating, finicky parts of finishing a piece? Hell yeah. I love every single part of the glass process so much, but some parts stress me out a lot more than others and make me a lot more nervous. And the framing is by far the biggest one that does that. Because like I just spent, you know, this was not the hardest piece I ever made, but in something like the Surfer Girl panel behind me, you know, I spend like, I don't know, hundreds of hours doing that, a piece like that. And then I get to the framing at the end, and if I just apply too much pressure in the wrong spot for just a second too long, I could snap the whole thing. And then it's like I just wasted hundreds of hours. So yeah, it makes me really nervous. Little boat. We might be able to use this piece actually. I don't know how other glass artists do this. Riley, how do you do this? Or do you do this same thing that I'm doing? It's like the wild thing about so many glass artists being self-taught. Like everyone comes up with their own ways to do shit. And I never know if the ways that I do shit are insanely inefficient, stupid, or like brilliant. Because I just don't see other people's ways. This guy still doesn't look round enough to me. I don't like it. I don't like it. But this guy is looking okay. He has a little kink right there. Like he's not a perfect circle right there. So when that happens, I find a good way to get rid of that is to brace it around a circle and bend it outward, like very gently, and then very tightly wrap it back. So the lies, the bullshit and the lies. I could have died, yeah, lucky to be alive. Riley, you zinc all yours? Do you ever do curved pieces? Do you bend your zinc? So I might have a question for you if you bend your zinc. Insanely just says, oh man, that sounds like instant anxiety, haha, but it must be such a breath of relief when it works out and it all comes together. It definitely is. And I've never broken a piece while framing it. So I don't know why I have like such PTSD around it, but it definitely is the best feeling ever when it's finally together, because then your piece is so much stronger too, and you just feel a lot better about like the fact that it's definitely not going to break. All right, I think that looks good. That looks like a pretty bangerang circle. So let's bring Homer back. Riley says, I usually tack and then we'll bend it around as I go. If it's tiny zinc, it will bend on its own? Really? I guess you have a bender. I guess I've never seen zinc that small. Because like the zinc I use is probably like 1/4 of an inch thick, and like you're not hand bending that. 1/4 inch and up, I have to use my bender. Oh, I didn't know that the thin zinc you could hand bend like that. Because the problem I was having is like with this surfer panel back here, I really like this shape, like this pill shape, and I've used it on a bunch of my bigger panels. And this one is wrapped in zinc. And I had to use my bender to bend this zinc. And I wanted to do it in a single piece of zinc that was formed into this shape. And I couldn't figure out how to make that happen. So I had to do, hold on. I think I did end up figuring out how to make it happen. No. What I did was I cut it in half. So this is one piece of zinc and this is one piece of zinc. There's a split right here in the middle. But I wanted to do it with one single piece, but I couldn't figure out how to like bend this part and this part while keeping these two parts straight. And I don't even know if that's possible. Like I asked some other artists and nobody could tell me. Do you think I could do that with my cane bender? Like, is that possible? Because I tried and I kept running into the issue where the parts I wanted to be straight would end up bending. No, it's so wrong. Could have got my hold on. I said, hold on. We've been divorced. I don't really need it. Because my husband just cheated. She out of her mind. No HIV. Fake ID. See, now this piece is like way too long. So I'm going to waste a little bit of cane here. But I'm always much happier wasting a little bit of product than trying to like force something to work like I was doing with my other piece. So now I can bend this to about as good of a circle I can get. And you can see the end is still going to be a little bit straight, but I've so much left over that I can just chop that bit off. So it doesn't matter. You laugh, I'm gonna cry. Why your apartment always so empty? Get locked out of that apartment and have to call Jenny. Samby says, I framed a big circle with zinc, and I do the same as Glass by Groves, tack and bend. I need to have my mom lend a hand, though. I'm surprised so many of you are hand bending zinc. I literally didn't think that was possible. Okay, so now that I have it curved, I'm gonna start to trim off the excess. Do a tongue kiss. I need markers I can open with one hand. There we go. I'm gonna cut that like right there. Boom. Last one, ashtray. Every day should be a bad day. Riley says, I think you'd have to be really careful about what parts you feed into the bender. Yeah, for sure. That's why at some point I just gave up and I was like, I don't even think this is possible. Because I was being really careful about that and I was not able to make it happen. Like stopping at the exact moment you have a straight edge. Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. Theoretically possible, but technically I think the execution would be incredibly difficult. Okay, well that makes me feel better that you're not just like, yeah, obviously you can do it, you're just doing it wrong. I think I will try to do that again one day. Because I was doing that still when I was like kind of a beginner, and now I would definitely consider myself to be more intermediate or advanced. I'm advanced, guys. I'm as advanced as fuck. Old Town Road. But also, Riley, you're going to have to let me know what patina you use on zinc. Do you patina your zinc? I know you keep a lot of your pieces silver. Because I haven't found a patina that keeps zinc really black for really long. Like I use the Novacan patina and it'll work okay, but it fades after a while. Like after a year or so, I noticed that the blackness just isn't as dark. And so that's another reason I don't really use zinc that much. You can go on, I just go. Grant says clicky marker gang. Yeah, I don't have any of those. I have to get on that. So fucking advanced and humble too. I hope you guys can tell that I'm like a sarcastic, joking person, because if you don't get sarcasm, man, you probably really don't like me. Right till I can't no more. House to the Old Town Road. Oh, guys, look at that. Look at how close that is. You can't, because I'm hiding it from you. That's hella close. Has to be a lepthanol. Thank you for following. Thank you so much for that follow. We're going to have to trim off. You can see it overlaps a little bit, so I'm going to trim. Like, I think other people probably just measure their shit exactly and don't have such a problem with, like, bending the very tips as I do. I don't know. But I really like my method of, like, giving myself a little bit too much and then nipping off just a little bit towards the end. I don't know. I feel like it's a very safe route. You are... Still too big. But look at that perfect circle. So perfect. Sunlight. Stuck in traffic. Glass spiker. Riley does not patina. Well, if you ever get into it and you find a good one for zinc, you'll have to let me know. Still a little bit too big. Sam B says there's special patina for zinc. Yeah, I know. I have it. Novacan makes patina for lead and a different one for zinc. I have both. Sam B says I'm going to patina the zinc frame for this horse project when I finish it. Have you patinaed zinc before, or will this be your first try? And here you are. Because if you've patinaed zinc before and you found a patina that doesn't fade on you, I would like to know about that. I also feel like zinc, for whatever reason, I have to apply it with a toothbrush. Like with solder, I usually use a toothbrush for solder too, but I could use like a cotton ball or I don't know, maybe like a paper towel or something. But when it comes to zinc, I cannot get the patina to work unless I use a toothbrush. That I think is going to be good. Ha ha ha. Sarcasm is on point. I'm glad you get me, Grant. Sometimes I don't think Toby gets my sarcasm, and then I'm worried that he thinks I'm either really mean or really crazy. But I don't really care too much about what Toby thinks about me anyway. I'm just here to steal his secrets and his viewers. Alephno says Homer Simpson in the brambles. Haha, so funny. People fucking love this one. I'm glad you like it. And I have to give credit to the first customer that asked me to do this. Like, I didn't sit down and think, oh, I'm going to make Homer Simpson in the bushes. A customer came to me back when I was still accepting new commissions, and they were like, yo, can you make this? And I was like, hell yeah, I'll do that up. So shout out to, I think her name was Rachel. Shout out to Rach Dog, who first asked me to do this. About me, I'm tired of doing. You guys see that gap? That's pretty prime. What is that, like a millimeter? 2 millimeters? That's like as close as you're gonna get. That's pretty prime. Samby says, I've done it before, but I use the Novacan one. Yeah, the Novacan one just doesn't work for me. I don't know. Patina's so finicky though, you know? And now I'm just like applying pressure and like kind of undoing the came on one side and making sure to roll the glass like really deep into it, and then doing the same on the other one, because that's gonna, look at that, that brought it like way closer. So there was some excess came in there that I had to like roll out. So now we actually have to cut off a little bit more. because you definitely want your frame to be as tight around the piece as possible, so the final piece doesn't have any type of jiggle or movement, especially since lead can stretch over time. Like this one was pre-stretched, but I feel like there's still potential that it could stretch out over time. So if you have a loose frame, the more it stretches, the looser it's going to get, and that's just bad news bears, you know? Samby says, okay, so I just went and checked my big circle with the patina zinc frame, and it has faded, and I'm stressed about it. Sorry if I just ruined your day. But you see what I mean? Like the zinc patina just like doesn't stick. So I don't know, until I can find a solution for that, I'm just gonna not use zinc on my patinaed pieces or not use zinc at all. But you don't even notice it until like a lot of time has to go by. Like I didn't notice it on my pieces until well over a year, which is so sneaky because like you could make a piece and think it's good to go for a customer, and then like the customer wouldn't realize it until like a year after they bought your piece. That'd be so shitty. Grand says to Sam B, the first existential crisis is free. After that, you're going to have to start paying. Sam B already subscribes to my channel, so technically she is paying. But you will have to upgrade to a higher tier if you want more than one. That I will confirm. It is more money. See, and now my gap is like a little bit bigger than it was before, which means I chopped off too much when I was trying to compensate for that stretch, but that's still fine. That's a fine amount. Bow, bow. Down, 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 down. And you always want to put your frame seam at a solder seam. Like you can see, I've lined up my frame joint with that solder joint, because one, that's just gonna like look a lot cleaner, and two, it's gonna give your whole piece more strength than if your frame was soldered at some random point. Like it's gone to sleep. It's a blackjack. Sorry guys, I know I've been doing this for a while and it's probably boring, but it's part of the process. Because like I keep saying, you have to like apply a lot of pressure, but very slowly in small increments, which means this part takes a little extra time to do. But I think we're good. So now I'm gonna use my pins to tack it in place, and then we'll solder the frame. That's a blackjack wide. Sam B says, it's been hanging in my window for a year and the frame is so spotty. It could have something to do with the sun too. Like my pieces were not in a window, so I don't think so, but maybe the sun expedites things, you know? And here's another time when that wooden channel at the base of my workbench would come in so handy to like brace it against. And that's a blackjack wide. Riley says, I think a silver zinc border on a black patina piece might not look too bad. No, I don't think it would look too bad either. It just depends on the piece. But also, when I have good lead that I like for borders, I don't know why I wouldn't just use lead, unless I was making a really big piece, but I don't really make really big pieces. yet. Might provide more interest overall. I could be way off base though. Nah, I agree. Like I said, it just depends on the piece. Like sometimes the silver border is like the right little finishing touch. Sorry, so sorry, sorry, we do this. Jump me down, down. When I have it tacked, I try to like move the frame to see if there's any places where it's like wiggling, which would mean it's not tight enough. And then I adjust accordingly. Sorry, so sorry. I think that looks good though. Insanely Jess enjoys seeing the process. Okay, good. It's probably just my biggest fear about streaming, more than the fact that I think I might make myself look dumb. I feel like people are going to be bored, so thank you. And I have my MJ glove on, so when I solder, I can hold the lead in place with my glove and it won't burn me, ideally. So I'm going to solder, or I'm going to flex all my little joint seams. And then we'll do the same thing on the back. And then we'll give them jump rings. And then I'll have to do the wiring, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do that today because me and Peanut Butter have to give our smelly dog a bath. Yeah, you're not boring. If people didn't like it, they wouldn't be here, I'm sure. Yeah, they can get the fuck out if they think I'm boring. Right, Grand? I just have, my standard is Toby, so I have high standards. He's always being interesting and talkative. But I have seen many streams where people just do what they're doing without talking. And those are fine to watch if that's what you're into. But I think it's so much more like engaging when the person doing whatever they're doing is, even if they're not talking about what they're doing, as long as they're just talking about shit, I find it way more enjoyable. Or if they're singing badly, I really love when people sing badly, you know, right? Like, isn't that way better to listen to than someone who can sing? Like, come on, we've all heard good singers, but how many bad singers have we heard? All the pretty girls on a Saturday night. Am I right? Look in your eyes. Call you out. Myself. I do. I do. I do. I do. Remind me of you. So when I'm doing this, I'll hold the solder bead on the lead for like a little bit longer than I would normal soldering, just to make sure it melts a little bit. And then I'll just like do a quick dab on the solder channel to make that the beading in between the frame and the solder channel smooth. Come on, what's a boy to do? Measure to you. Get out! Get him out! There we go. Grand, thanks for being my muscle. You're a very intimidating character, I must say. They have stream bouncers. I know there are stream moderators, but like, what about a stream bouncer? Is that an official role? Because it should be. Look in your eyes. Into my mouth, I was sure pretty girls that you used to. Oh, what's a boy to do? Pretty girl, so measure to you. Saturday night. It's on a Saturday night. Pretty girls on a Saturday night. Grand appreciates that, they think. Wow, no, 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 no. Oh my God, this song brings me right back to high school. Let me know that I've done wrong when I've known it all along. I go around a time or two. My time. I used to have such a crush on the lead singer of this band. Cover your ears, peanut butter. I'll keep you my dirty little secret. One or you'll be just another regret. Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Look at that. Look at that. We did it. We did it. Time with you. See, the scary part's over. Now I can manhandle this glass, and it should be okay. One that needs to know. And it feels nice and tight, not loose. Looks like a good circle. I'm really proud of my framing, because I feel like I see a lot of glass artists framing their pieces that are like supposed to be perfect squares or circles or whatever, and there will be obvious like kinks in the framing. And I know it's really hard, so like I don't like really judge people hard for that, but it makes me feel like extra good about my own work when I see that it's not a thing that like everyone easily masters. Wow, 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 wow. My dirty little secret. Telling you one or you'll be just another regret. Heck yeah, looks rad. Thank you, Jess. Secret. One or you'll be just another regret. My dirty little secret. Peanut butter, are you still in here? Because I'll probably be done here in like 10 or 15. And then we can wash our dirty beanbag. If you're down for that. Okay, peanut butter. You say that I'm messing with your head. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, 'cause I was making out with your friend. Yeah, 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 yeah. Have you guys heard the rumor that Avril Lavigne died like 20 years ago? And there's a body double that's been replacing her? That's like an actual conspiracy theory that's out there, and I think I like looked into it one time, and it was like kind of believable. When you see pictures of her, she like it definitely like her whole look changed. Like her face is like not the same as it used to be. And it's probably more of like a plastic surgery thing, but it's more fun to think that this is her body double, not her. If you hate me, baby, baby. But now, I think her like style of music changed around the same time too, which makes it more like, oh God, guys, I haven't even had my smoke absorber anywhere near what I'm doing. Just lost a year of my life, everyone. 1 year, that was 1 year. I figure I can probably lose the last 10 though, because like, I'm just gonna be rolling around, you know, in that wheelchair. Not really gonna be doing anything productive. Hey. On your knees, begging please, stay with me. Samby says death, the only conspiracy theory I believe in. Oh, you're aware of it then? Okay. I didn't know if like other people knew about that. Yeah, this isn't the same girl that sings Skater Boy. No way. This some other bitch. Baby, baby. Down, 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 down. Whoa. Whoa. Say that I'm messing with your head. I like messing in your bed. Yeah. There. We're good. Now I'm just thinking if I want to put the jump rings on now or after I do the wire. And I think I should actually do it after I do the wire, because when I do the wire, I'm going to lay it flat and work on it. And if there's jump rings behind there, because when I do attach the jump rings, I'm going to attach them right here, right here. That was hot, and I don't want them to make the piece sit unevenly. So I'm just going to spray this down with quick cleaner. Another tip is if you're going to solder a piece and then walk away from it before you finish it, you don't want to leave flux sitting on it, because that will like stain the lead and make the solder, it will like corrode things. So if you're ever going to leave your piece for a little bit, just make sure you like get all the flux off of it before you let it sit. Y'all feel me? I like to use quick clean. Some people use just like soap and water, but I personally found that using water on my piece will fuck with the solder and the patina, and it'll make it so that the patina is all splotchy or not very dark. I never put water on my pieces ever. It took me so long, so many like trial and error attempts to figure out why my patina would sometimes look really good and why it would sometimes not be super dark or be splotchy or whatever. And through my experimentation, I determined that it was the tap water I was using to clean my pieces, because depending on where you are, your tap water can have different like minerals and vitamins and stuff in it, or, you know, chemicals and poison. Shout out to Flint, Michigan. So all those different things can mess with your patina. And that's why like you'll see some artists swear by using water. And that's probably because wherever they live, the water is like not super contaminated, or it's contaminated in the right way. But my point is, like, water is different everywhere. So what works with water for one artist in a different area of the country or world might not work for an artist with water in a different area. I wish I'd known that earlier. I've been ignoring you, I'm sorry. Insanely Justice doppelganger takeover, only the strongest survive. Strongest survives. Grant says Avril is long gone, sucking solder fumes all day. Check out that frame gap. There's no gap in my frame. What are you talking about, Grand? Were you talking about before, when there was a gap, before we filled it in? You better be. And Avril definitely did not die from solder fumes. Oh, that was your 16 minutes to the hour haiku? Oh my god. I forgot that was coming up. Thank you. Thank you. You're going to have to come in here and regularly do that. I feel like that will be a very big draw with the, like, autistic, both the autistic and the artistic slam poetry communities. We'll probably find that to be a big draw, so I would appreciate that. Bring Punch and Pie says, oh, interesting. I have that patina issue and I always use water to clean. That Florida sulfur water. I'll have to try Quick Clean. Yeah, Bring Punch and Pie. If you are having patina problems, I would highly recommend either using distilled water or something like Quick Clean and getting away from tap water. I bet you'll see a really big difference. Samby says, washing my pieces in water makes my patina so dark. It's lovely. I have that good mountain water. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, it just depends on where you are. That good Arizona mountain water. I did notice this guy when I was cleaning just now. So I'm going to turn my soldering iron back on and just dab him. But then I'm going to stop. Grant says, check it out, as in that frame gap is perfect. Okay, good. Thought you were insulting my work for a minute, and I was about to have to go stream bouncer on your ass. I'm thinking with autistic and over 65 crowd. Like both, like they are autistic and over 65, or just in general, everyone is 65 and older and everyone who's autistic. I mean, either way, it's a really solid community, I've heard. Very, like, supportive. I'm available for birthday parties or retirements. And I'm just getting your work for free. I'm kind of honored. See, this is one of those mega holes that keeps appearing. So I really don't want to fuck with it too much. So I just covered it up. Know the way to his heart like I do. Ooh, I'm stuck with two, not a woo. Lil Yana up in this bitch. Thanks for the follow. I'm stuck with you. I'm stuck with, hey there, sister wife. There's a Venn diagram with some overlap of those communities. Yeah, I'd love to see that one day. It seems like an important research that should be shared with the world. All right, guys. Well, this is what we did. And I think I'm going to go wash my smelly dog. And I'm probably going to do the wire on the patina. Dat boy! Thank you for following, Dat boy. I'm going to do that stuff off stream, but I will be streaming again probably on Tuesday at my normal time of 12 p.m. Eastern. So I don't know what I'll be doing, but that's when I'll be back. So thank you for hanging out with me, everyone, and I hope I see you on Tuesday. Liliana says, love your artwork. I love you, Liliana. Thank you for being so sweet. Thank you. Grant says, that looks killer. Nice work. Thank you very much, Grant. I value your opinion very highly. And that's not sarcasm. All right, I'm going to go. I love you guys. Thank you for joining. I'll see you later. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Oh, I am going to see if there's anyone online to do a raid. So you can leave if you want, but if you want to stick around for a potential raid, you can hang out for that. Oh, Dark is on. Grand, you know Dark, right? This guy, Dark Vitram, also does stained glass. I don't know if he's doing stained glass now. But I'm going to raid his channel. No problem, Jess. Thanks for joining. Grand knows Dark. You never watched him do things? Well, it's not going to be as good as what I just did, but we'll see.